My name is Don Andersen, and I fly fish. I've been doing that since I was 10 years old. Started to tie flies when I was 12. I built my first fiberglass rod in 1968, my first graphite rod in 1975, and my first bamboo rod in 1981. To this point, I made, give or take, 200 bamboo fly rods. My first fly rod was a bamboo fly rod, and come about 1973 or so, I was introduced to a friend to a beaver dam complex full of brown trout that were the most pernickety, stinking, hardest to catch things in the face of the earth. And we were fishing with 7-foot, 3-weight bamboo fly rods with 7x leaders and size 25. Ultimately, it came to the point you wanted to build your own. What I was looking for is a rod that suited me. Bamboo rod making, or the building of a bamboo rod, is originally, when we're down the clock back here, probably 50 or 60 years, was done by a very small group of people. And they kept the knowledge much themselves. There have been several books written over the years. Holden wrote one, Barnes wrote one, and ultimately the best book that started basically the bamboo renaissance was written by Hoagie Carmichael about a fellow called Everett Garrison of New York State. And that particular book is absolutely full of materials and the sourcing to those materials that it takes to build a bamboo fly rod. So once you had that information, it was just a matter of going ahead and doing it. Subsequent to that, of course, there is now meetings of bamboo fly rod builders that have occurred in New Zealand, Australia, Germany, Italy, France, Denmark, England, all across continental United States, and there's 2 in Canada. And those particular meetings started in a little place called Merritt, BC, with a bunch of rod builders that happened to get together quite by accident on a Sunday afternoon and wondered if they could go further. One thing about building bamboo fly rods, and I fish a lot, so I was constantly playing with tapers to try to get what I consider to be a very good rod for various uses. So I started with 5 and 6 weights, which is primarily trout line weight. And I built a whole series of 5 weights, and I finally settled on one I really liked. In the same way I started to build 6 weights, and I started to build Garrisons, and I did some of those. And I finally figured out that the ones I like there. And I have 2 6 weights now that I use personally. One for lake fish and one for stream fish, and they are really different in character. Then for small stream work, I built 5 2-weights over a period of about 70 months, looking for the 2-weight that I would like. It took till the 6th one until I got a rod that I like. Now, one of the problems is with this fly rod business is that I personally may not like the rod casts. But I'm not the final judge. The final judge is the customer. So we can build a rod to suit the customer as much as it can be done. because there is limitations to the material itself. But by and large, that's how to do it. The customer sets on what's going on, you know. But there's something else here, and there's an interesting story. A year or so ago, I got a phone call from a fellow in Edmonton. And he said, I understand you got one of these rods available. And I said, sure do. And he said, I want it for my dad. Okay, and I knew his dad. And he hungered after a bamboo rod, and obviously he was probably never going to own one. But the son afforded one, couldn't work. I said, what do you want to do? He said, ship it up. He said, I'll pay for it. So I did. I got a phone call a couple weeks later from Dad. And you hear the grin coming over the phone. This guy was absolutely beside himself with excitement. Now, anytime you can create a product, right, that does that, boy, I'll tell you, that feels pretty good. But these guys get right excited, and that's not a bad thing. I get kind of a chuckle out of it. You know, customers will phone you and tell you, but I've had pictures from the Yukon to Alaska to, down in southern Argentina, rods of mine being in use. So there is a huge difference there between my association with the customer base and what most manufacturers of products get. There is a huge difference. And that particular son and father represented, I think, one of the best. An interesting trip. I fished a friend's rod. I mentioned John Boxstrom earlier. His best friend was a guy by the name of Bill Young, and they had fished together for years and years and years and years. And John had built a rod for Bill, and it was a 9'7" weight, gorgeous rod. And Bill got cancer and never got a chance to fish it. So when Bill finally passed away, another friend of both John and Bill, a guy named Ron Grantham, bought the rod from Bill's wife, his widow, and wanted to keep it in his own rod stable. So Ron had pestered me about going to the Dean. And I said, I just can't make it and so on. Funny, the year I quit work, which was in the fall, or the early spring, or in January, retired, and he phoned me about 2 weeks, and he said, you're going to the Dean this year. You bet, I'm going to the Dean this year. And then the question was what rod I was going to use. I said, well, Bill went, he said, got one for you. So here we took the friend's rod up that John had built for Bill. Ron had bought as a friend from Bill's widow. Ron lent it to me, who was a friend, and I was a friend to them all. So that rod went fishing, and probably the last time it'll ever be used. And it went fishing on the Dean, which is where Bill and John really loved to go. It was kind of neat. Over the years, I've had probably more than most the opportunity to meet some of the finest folks there is that ever fly fished in Western Canada. Acquaintances and friends, all the way from southern Alberta all the way up to the north. We've had great fun, and these rods are all tied to those kind of memories. They've been everywhere. I mean, believe you me, they have been everywhere.